Alright, I'm just gonna address the premise behind this discussion, and I'm not gonna repeat the N word because I find that very ignorant. Thank you. So, the N word, it comes from the idea that somebody is holding on to something. That's the etymological meaning of the word, is that somebody is holding on to something that they have no use for, and that it actually binds them. It's like a form of binding. That's the actual meaning behind the N word. It's not the idea that somebody's ignorant, although it is a sign of ignorance for somebody to hold on to something and not let go. Like if somebody has a rock tied to their leg and they're just like, oh man, I gotta keep this rock. Or if they go up to a tree and they say, oh, the tree's got me, I can't let go of this tree. Well, that's actually what that's talking about, is that's talking about codependency and addiction. That's what I'm talking about. The N word comes from the idea that somebody is codependent and addicted to something. Now, I don't get where it comes into some kind of culture about Africa and African American people or Afro American people, what you want to call yourself. Um, the point is that anybody can technically be codependent and attached to something that is no good for them. You know, who who has the right to criticize somebody for being attached? I mean, people are attached to so many things. Like, for example, I've heard of people giving up cigarettes, and then 10 years later they have an STD because they became sex freaks or something, Like they became addicted to sex. They just replaced one addiction for another, you know? So that's not the solution either. So, technically, you could be very well attached to something and then criticize somebody else for a similar kind of attachment. It's just codependency. And human beings are so caught up in that in this age. Like, we have this mentality that we must possess wealth. And that if we have wealth, then we can do whatever we want. And if we do whatever we want, then we're somehow happy. Yeah, I'm sure. Now, my point is here, like I said, anybody can be, attached and codependent. That's the meaning behind the word. Just look it up on the internet. Ancient etymological meanings behind words. Now, let's talk about Nazis for a minute. Now, I don't have any problem saying Nazi because I can just criticize the heck out of Nazis, in my opinion. Um, but there is a point that I would like to make. Is actually the Nazis were actually holding on to these ideals. These they were basically pro-pagan, mechanized, pro-industrial um, views of the world. Like, for example, some people say Hitler was a Catholic, and it's just like, okay, whatever you want to say, Hitler was also an emo, okay? Yeah, Hitler was an emo. Take that, emos. Um, but actually, what happened was is that originally Hitler was destroying gays. Hitler was destroying gays, and then after he destroyed the gays, he attacked the mentally ill. And after he attacked the mentally ill, he attacked the gypsies, and then he went to the Jews. And actually, if he would have defeated and killed all the Jews of the world, he would have then gone after the Catholics until everything that was left was this super wonderful Aryan race that he was so interested in. Actually, he even spoke with his personal confident people about the idea that every 2,000 years the views of the world replace themselves. So what he could do is create a religion that's centered around this Aryan ideal as God, where he is like I guess, like the messiah of this view, and that because all the other histories of the world are dead, that it could just be rewritten. Like people have said, history is rewritten by the victor. Um, but the point is that these are evil philosophies. You know, you can't really suggest that because somebody is intolerant or maybe part of some kind of unique culture you can't appreciate, that means that they're the same. They're the same in the sense that they're attached to something that is not good for them. And it has nothing to do with black people. The N word has no real meaning behind black. It has no tie to black people. It was just a term. Like, for example, the term heathen. You use the term heathen. The term heathen comes from the idea that when Christians would talk about the pagans that continued to view their religion in society, even though conversion was going on, it meant that they were of the hearth, meaning that they did hearthen worship, um, centered around the views of the gods we see as mythological now, you know, like Zeus and Aphrodite, you know, those kinds of gods. That meant that they were of the hearth. So really, my point is that when you call a black person the N word, essentially you're just saying, "Oh, you're addicted." But actually, it's very hypocritical to say that to somebody because that means that you too probably have some addictions to unwanted things in your life. You know, miserly things. And I'm honestly here to tell you now, in case you have some false belief about yourself, that you are not the shining example of interdependencies. All right, maybe you have a job, or maybe you have a girlfriend, but that doesn't mean that you can say that no, I am not, you know, I don't want to say it, the N word, and a black person is, because that's not even the meaning of the word. It's a slang, which means that it's a spin on a word. It's like, you know, for example, if I were to call you an infidel, you know, if I were to call you an infidel, you know that kind of spins the whole thing about Muslims or whatever. Then anyone that I see with white skin is somehow an infidel because there was a group of people who did not show fidelity to God the way that some people think that they should be shown. So it's a racial slur, all right? And it's not the same as Nazis. It's actually, it's degrading. And you shouldn't talk that way because it actually speaks about yourself. It says that I am not caught up in the true attached, or not really attached, the true reality of the world, and I am attached to this idea that I am superior to some other race. Come on, man, get over yourself. You're a human being. Other people are human beings too, whether whether their skin is black or white or yellow or red or green. Now, I would like to meet somebody with green skin. That would be pretty cool. Um, but you see, I hope you stop talking like this. You know, whatever. Your gem is nothing but a pile of stool.